Hi everyone, welcome to our Eat Healthy, Live Healthy webinar. We are all talking about diet, sugary food, nutrients, and supplements, but what do we really know about nutrition and eating healthy? Is what we know actually scientifically correct, or are they just misinformation that's been passed on to us and now we actually believe them? I'm Shivangi from the ODOC team, and with me today I have Dr. Anusha Jatisen, who will be taking us through the topic of eating healthy and will help us understand more about what it means to eat healthy. Dr. Anusha Jatisen has completed her BSc in human biology, specializing in food and nutrition, and has a PhD in biochemistry and nutrition, both from the University of Jawaharlal. Having over 7 years of experience in the field, Dr. Anusha currently consults at Healthily Life Clinic, Kids Clinic Kalatura, and Philips Hospital. She also actively engaged in research in the fields of biochemistry and nutrition, in which she was able to release many publications regarding the subject. Dr. Anusha plans to further excel in academic research and nutrition counseling in the future. We are extremely honored to have you on board, Doctor. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Doctor, if you're ready, I would love to jump straight into the questions. Um, but
Sure.
before but before that, viewers, if you have any questions that you would like to ask Dr. Anusha, please send it to us via the comment section, and I will read them to her, and we can get her answer. So, Doctor, the first question I have for you is: many of us have heard about the dangers of sugar. However, the majority of us don't really understand the science behind this. Is sugar really an ingredient people should stay away from? What are the hidden sugars? How should people look at labels for hidden sugars before purchasing an item in drinks or foods?
Yeah, basically, sugar is the main thing that we need to know about. So, as you ask in the question, we can't stay away from the sugar because we have sugar in everything. Sugar is the main basic unit in the carbohydrate. The carbohydrate is a complex factor of a sugar molecule. So, what we know as sugar is CNA, the so-called term that we normally use it, CNA that we use in the day-to-day life. But sugar is a main component of the carbohydrate. So if we are eating a complex carbohydrate, a healthy carbohydrate, the digestion process will give the end product as a sugar for the absorption. So what we know about the sugar is that what we eat, what we feel sugar like sweet taste of the tongue that we normally label as sugar. So most of the people they stay away from that sweet products to avoid the sugar. It's very good for them to away from that part, but we all need to know that the sugars are hidden from many of the food. For an example, if you are taking a market product, they have enough sugar in the products. So how you can read the label and how you can avoid from the hidden sugar. So hidden sugar in the sense you don't feel the taste of the sugar in the product, but there are sugar the manufacturer added to maintain their taste and the quality of the product. For an example, breakfast bars, breakfast cereals, yogurt, sauce, and all of these things have the hidden sugar. We don't feel much of the sugary taste in that, but there are a lot of sugar in that. Another thing beverages carbonated drinks and so much of beverages they contain a hell lot of sugar, but you don't feel that much of sugar sweet taste in that. These things will give you the hidden sugars a lot. So people as possible we need to away from these hidden sugars to be healthy. So the natural sugars are the thing that we normally get from the normal natural food that will take time to absorb and give you the sugar content in your blood. However, the hidden sugars and the added sugars will give you the shoot up of sugar in your blood. So always better we away from the hidden sugars. So how you can read the label. So when you take a label product of product food labels, you can read them in the sense the end term OSCOs like fructose, sucrose. Those are the things that comes as a name as sugars. So the companies they hide the sugars in many ways. First thing in different names. Second thing they normally tell it natural sugar and added sugar. Whether it's natural sugar or added sugar, they will give you the sugar content. Another thing, like they without telling that each sugar, they add the sugar like corn syrup, vegetable sugar, fruit sugar. Those all things comes as a sugar. Another thing, they add the sugar in the sense like labels, like red label the high sugar, like green is the medium sugar, those kind of things. But we need to know the portion sizes. Like in the for example, if you take a biscuit packet or something, they will give you the label for a 100 gram or a per serving as a small quantity. But when you have that packet, it will give you the extra sugar because of the portion size. So always think about the portion size as well. These are the main things that the companies and the manufacturers, they hide the sugar in their product.
Right, great. Thank you for that, Doctor. A lot of things that we didn't know, I didn't know. I'm sure most of our viewers also didn't know and are like astonished by what you've said. Thank you for that. Just moving on to the second question, Doctor. As Sri Lankans, our diets are generally carb heavy, and you had mentioned carbohydrates in your previous answer. What impact does this have on a person's nutrition, and how can we better balance our macronutrients, especially proteins, in our meals?
Yeah, really a great question, because when we handle the patient, most of the time, the carbohydrate is the main problem for us, because we normally handle the NCD patients like diabetes, pressure, cholesterol, those things, right? So diabetic is mainly because of the high calorie intake and the low expenditure, right? So as a Sri Lankan, what we do is having a lot of carbohydrate. So for an example, we can say like main cause for the diabetic in our country, maybe one thing is the genetic, another thing is the lifestyle. Lifestyle is the main thing that will give you the diabetic condition a lot, right? So if you take plates, the carbohydrate is the main portion. So but how we normally like get a plate during the main three meals, we used to get a lot of rice and little bit of curries, right? So that will give you the hell lot of carbohydrate portion. Another thing, the banana is also the culprit for us. Like if you get a 1 kg of banana and if you put it in the table for a day, within 2 to 3 hours, yeah, family members will finish off everything, because what they tell is it's fruit, so we can eat. So those also having a lot of carbohydrate, right? So if you look about your he eat well plate, you can have your proper portions of the macronutrition and the micronutrition. So what you can do is you can get your plate into a proper model plate. Like you can have the plate as a half of your plate filled with your vegetables and fruits, right? So the vegetables are 3 to 4 vegetables per day, and 1/4 of your plate is coming as a carbohydrate. That also you can choose from the complex carbohydrate. For an example, if you are having the sambar rice, that's a simple refined carbohydrates, right? So you can have the whole grains, instead of samba you can go for the nadu, parboil, red rice, those kind of things. Like for the instead of wheat flour, you can for the atta or the kurakan, those kind of fiber rich foods. And another 1/4 of your plate should be with the protein. So half of your plate is vegetables and fruits, and the 1/4 is carbohydrate. That also from the whole grain, and the 1/4 is from your proteins. So when you talk about your proteins, you can choose your protein from the protein high rich sources like dairy and the dairy products. So dairy and the dairy product has a good protein for a person who work hard, like in the sense not the sedentary life. Okay, so the lean meat will give you a lot of protein. And then again, as a vegetarian protein, that will give you beans and other stuffs will give you the good quality of protein. So if you are a vegetarian, it's very difficult for you to get the good quality of protein, right? So when it is come as a non-vegetarian person, they can have enough good quality of protein through their non-vegetarian portions. When it is come to the seafood, the fish is a good source of protein, but you can avoid the crustaceans like crab, prawns, and cuttlefish to avoid the cholesterol factors. So main thing to maintain your macronutrition and the micronutritional balance, always think about your eat well plate. The plate structure is the most important thing. Another thing to maintain your proper portion sizes in the morning, breakfast, lunch, and the dinner, should be the eat well plate with a reduction of the plate sizes. Morning, you can have a bigger plate. At the lunch, you can reduce the size of the plate. And the dinner, you have to definitely reduce as a minimum of half of your breakfast. That will give you the balance of your protein, macronutrition, and other micronutrition as well.
Great, thank you, doctor. The whole thing about reducing the plate size from breakfast to lunch to dinner, that was really, really important. Thank you so much for sharing that information with us, doctor. Moving straight on to the third question. People often tend to assume that low fat is always the healthier option. Is this really true, and is this the case? Should people think twice before picking up, let's say, a low fat labeled product at supermarkets?
Yeah. Basically, like the low fat is coming in the market because we all are like always putting weight on and on, rather maintaining or the reducing our weight. Because of that only, the low fat products are always there. In the past generation, people like our grandparents, they didn't have these low fat products. Why? We all are very hardworking and we all are normally moving a lot. Nowadays, we all are desktop workers, right? So that only basically the low fat products are coming in. So when you talk about the dairy products, always better to have the low fat as a in the sense, not as a low fat product all the time. You can have it as a whole with low fat, in the sense in the milk you can get the whole milk and you can boil them a lot and take the fat out twice or thrice, and you can have the normal milk. Or else low fat milks you can get in the market as a low fat, since we are a sedentary people. And other low fat products, the packet processed fruit products, we can avoid, because when the companies make the low fat product, they will dump a lot of sugars in it, because when the low fats are coming to the market, they will give you the less palatability, right? The edible portion, the edible content is so less. To maintain that, they used to add a lot of sugars in it. So to reduce your calories, if you choose a low fat product, definitely you will end up with a high sugar content. So there's no much reduction in your calories. So think twice you before pick up your products in the market. So if it is a milk, you can go for the low fat after looking in your the food label carefully about the portion size and everything. And think about the products like other than the milk, yogurt, cheese, curd, and everything. To reduce the low fat, they used to add a lot of sugar. Another thing, even if it is a low fat product, you should think about the portion sizes. If you are having the low fat product in a high quantity, there is no use of getting the low fat product as well.
Great, thank you for that, doctor. Very, very insightful. Going on to my next question that I have before we go on to the viewers' questions, I have two more questions. So the next one is, counting calories seems to be like a growing trend amongst everyone these days. Does this really help a person better manage their weight? How can someone best estimate their target calorie intake, and how can they keep track when they consume accurately?
Yeah, basically, the counting calories is a good thing since we are a sedentary life people, right? So as I said you earlier, the previous generation, they never count their calories, and they never had this obesity and the other NCDs problems since they are heavy workers. So eat less, exercise more, work more. So you don't need to count your calories a lot. So since we are sedentary workers and we have quite a lot of choices to eat, so we normally used to choose for those things, right? So in that case, we have to count our calories. So basically, to count your calories, we have a lot of homework. It's very difficult for you to count your calories in your day-to-day life, right? So from the morning to night, you have to schedule your food portions, food things, what you are having, how much you are having, everything you should note down, and you have to calculate your calorie and take. So basically, 1,002 kilocalorie should be minimum for you to maintain your internal organal functions. In the sense, BMR is the main thing that we need to consider. The only thing, counting calorie is individualized. My calorie count is not suitable to you, and your one is not suitable to someone else. So counting calorie should be a individualized portion. So if you are counting your calories, you have to meet your dietitian and you have to calculate your calorie content, you have to calculate your BMR, everything, and you have to count your calories to reduce your weight. But always I prefer to my patient, rather than counting your calories, keep an eye on your choices, right? For an example, like current trending, like youngest is like counting calories is the main thing, not the choices. For an example, like they want to keep their calories like 1002 for day, so they can eat a cupcake and they can skip their main meal. So their calorie is completed. So not in that way. So you can complete your calorie as a 1002, but you are missing a lot as a nutritional factors. So if you are having a cupcake to get the 2200 calories for your the dinner portion, and if you are skipping your normal dinner with like vegetables, fruits, and your carbohydrate portion, you are missing your vitamins, minerals, and all the other nutrition and getting just a dump, right? Like the cupcake will give you the sugar content a lot, a fat content a lot, and a lot of carbohydrate. That is not equal to your normal nutritional factors. So counting calories is a good thing, but don't substitute the main meal with your unnecessary stuff as a calorie count. So if you want to like go for a healthier life to reduce your weight and everything, what you can do is maintain a eat well plate with a reduction of portions in the all three main meals and choose the correct way rather than choosing the unnecessary stuff. For an example, if you want to maintain your weight, like you can substitute your like wheat flour with a whole grain. Okay, the main the snacks in the morning and the evening snacks, like basically what we have snacks as a biscuits and other stuff, you can substitute those things with the fruits and the vegetable pieces or a healthy snack. So in that way you can maintain your calories rather than just counting the unnecessary calorie stuffs.
Got it. Great, doctor. Thank you for that. Moving on to one more question that I had. People with appetite problems often take supplements to make up for nutritional deficits, right? Does this have an impact on a person's nutrition? Is it a healthy option to resort to these supplements or not really?
Yeah, really a good question because supplements is a like talk of the days these days, right? Basically, supplements are needed for a person who is considered as a patient and bedridden. They can't eat properly. They have loss of appetite and everything. So no way of getting the nutrition through the natural food, right? So we can go for the supplements in that way. But always remember, we normally easy like it's very easy to get the supplements like nutritional factors through the supplements, but through the supplements, but it's not very easy to get all the supplement nutrition through the supplement alone. Okay, so sometimes the supplements can be harmful if we are taking it for a long time and if we are taking it like as a in an extra amount. So to take your supplement like nutritional components, always get the food, natural foods, fruits and vegetables in a proper way. You will be getting it in a proper portion. For an example, if you are a pregnant mother or if you are a malnourished person, if you are a patient, if you have any medical condition, you can go for the supplement, of course, because if you can't get those things through the food and if you can't absorb or if you can do something from your real health problem, you can go for it. But as a healthy person, you just go with the normal food because most of the time people they are taking the supplement to take not the missing minerals just to boost up your health. It's a wrong way. So always think about the natural food for you to get the proper vitamins and minerals rather than going for the supplements. Another way, the supplements will increase your cost of living as well in unnecessary way because you
Got
can buy the supplements like in a cheap way. It's always expensive.
Definitely, doctor. Thank you for that, doctor. I have one more question that came through an anonymous DM to us. They've said, what substitutes can we put for meat for vegetarians? So, what can they take for protein?
So protein, basically vegetarians they can have the good protein through the milk most of the time because we can't get much of protein from the fruits and vegetables, right? So what we can do is we can get it from the milk and the milk product and the cereals like pulses, kadala, cowpea, mung beans, those kind of things. You can get your good protein as well. So if you want to get the good quality of protein, good digestible protein, just you can have the sprout like pulses rather than having the just raw pulses. In that way, you can increase your protein content as a vegetarian. So the problem for the vegetarian is mainly the protein and some vitamins.
Right. Yes. Thank you for the answer, doctor. I think you've answered that question really well for the person who asked us through our anonymous DM section. Another question that came through was, and also I also wanted to ask this: vitamin D deficiency is something that's so common these days. Even though we live in a very warm country with like so much sunlight, it's so common between amongst people. Is there any food items that we can take more to help reverse this? Is it reversible, firstly, and like what more can we do?
Yeah, basically my research is based on like 90% from the vitamin D deficiency, and the vitamin D is my research topic, right? So vitamin
Great.
D deficiency, yeah, vitamin D deficiency is talk of the world most of the time, right? So remember the deficiency cutoffs and deficiency patterns that we are getting from the foreign cutoffs and all. So for as a tropical country, for us to get the vitamin D, we need to go for the sun exposure mainly. The sun exposure is the main thing. Okay, in the morning hours, you can get the sun exposure. Rather than that, we can get it from the food as well. But the food, like the vitamin E that we are getting from the food is very less that we can get. The sun exposure production, the skin production is the main source of vitamin D. So as possible, you can get the vitamin D from the sun exposure. Other than that, if you want to get the vitamin D from your food, the milk is very poor in so vitamin D sources, and you can have the fish as a vitamin D source, and a little bit of vitamin D you can get it from the egg. Other than that, you can get it from the fortified foods like butter, margarine, cheese, yogurt, those kind of things. Again, like as we discussed earlier, those are full of fat and the sugar component since it's a processed food. So better you always go with the sun exposure and the fish and the egg. You can get quite a bit of vitamin D. The basic thing is the sun exposure.
Sun exposure. Yeah, great. Thank you for that, doctor. We have one more question that's come through again anonymously. It says people say that soya could be a complete alternative to meat proteins. Is this true? Can a person engaging in highly strenuous activities such as sports, etc., completely make up for a protein deficit through a soya diet?
Completely through soya diet, it can't be, right? So you have to have a proper balance protein from all the sources. It's always better. The completely from the soya diet, it's can't be. So, soya, you can most of the time soya is recommended for the people who have the lactose intolerance. The milk products when they have the allergy kind of things like intolerant things, we normally give them ask them to get the soya product, soya milk, right? Soya product they can get the protein, but completely from the soya in the sense better we go with the all the other protein as well because so bean curd, right? The bean curd that we get from the soya fermented soya products, so you can get the protein from that as well, but better we can get the protein from all the other sources as well because quality of protein and everything is different from product to product. In the sense lean meat has a different kind of protein and the amino acids and the egg has another kind of amino acids and everything is different, so better we go with a variety of proteins.
Great. Thank you for that, doctor. I have a question just following up. I just got it when you were answering the previous question. You mentioned soy milk, which is something, and almond milk now is very, very common. Are those actually a good alternative to actual milk?
It's a good alternative for the actual milk when you have a condition like intolerance and other stuffs, right? So you can go for those things definitely if you have any issues.
Right. Okay. Great. Thanks,
And
doctor, for
also
that.
basically people who have the health concern like fat like cholesterol and other issues, they used to choose the almond milk and the other soya product because animal product only have the cholesterol and the plant product doesn't have the cholesterol.
But what I've seen is a lot of young people just switch to almond milk or soya milk now just because they're figure conscious. What do you
Of
say
course.
about that? Is that a healthy
Yeah,
thing or?
because of the cholesterol content oil, they are going for those switch to the soya and the almond milk. But as I said earlier, again I'm telling if you are health conscious, go for the balanced diet for the all three time. Like just switching your milk to the almond milk and doing other unnecessary stuff will don't help you to maintain your health, right? Like substitute for the cupcake and the normal thing as I said earlier. So go for the healthy diet, eat less and work more.
Great. Thank you, doctor. There's also another question that came through our comment section actually. What kind of combination of vegan proteins would you recommend for such a person? So this is continuation from the person who is trying to do a soya diet.
Yeah, if you are a vegan, in the sense you are not getting the milk as well, right? So vegan in the sense you are not getting the milk even. So in that way, you can go for the soya milk, pulses, and the almond product. Those kind of things will give you the protein portion. So if you are a vegan, you can go for the normal cow milk and other products.
Okay, great.
So if you are a vegetarian, you can go for the milk, because vegetarians they consume the milk, and the vegan they don't consume the milk.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, doctor. There's actually one more question that just came through. Let me just read it. Okay, they've asked how healthy is a Sri Lankan rice and curry lunch?
Definitely, our rice and curry lunch is a very healthy product, healthy plate when it is come as a proper plate structure. As I said earlier, if you are putting a lot of rice and a little bit of curries, it won't help a lot. It won't help at all, right? So if you're having the proper eat well plate, a little bit of rice and a half plate of fruits and vegetables, and then the protein diet, it will help you. And also the cooking method is also like coming as a part of it, right? So if you're adding a hell lot of oil and coconut milk and everything, that then it won't be a healthy diet, right? So don't think that the homemade products are always healthy. Even if it is a homemade product, that should be less in sugar, fat, and salt, then it will be a healthy eating.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, doctor. We've also come to the end of our session. Thank you so much for telling us how important it is to not just eat, but to eat healthy and like proportionally break down our plate to make sure that we have all the healthy ingredients and nutrients that's needed for us to keep going. So eating healthy to have a better and healthier life. Thank you so much for shedding some light on things which we would have always overlooked if not for you. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
It was our pleasure to have you on board. Thanks a lot. And to all our
Thank
viewers
you.
who are watching, if you would like to consult Dr. Anusha in a more private setting, you can always do so through ODOC. She's available on ODOC. Once again, doctor, thank you so much for talking about what is actually important in today's day. So thanks a lot. Hopefully, we will
Thank
all
you.
take in your tips and advice and eat healthier. I definitely will.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, doctor. Thanks.